You know, probably one of the biggest questions we get so often from people that are looking to get started with short-term rentals is, can I run a property remotely in a different city, a different town, or somewhere completely different than where I live? And the answer is, it depends. But if you don't have these 5 items that we're going to talk about in today's video, you're literally crazy.
Yeah.
Let's dive into it.
Let's dive in, guys. All right, so if this is your first time joining us, I'm Katrina.
Michael here.
And we are the creators of STR Wealth Academy, everything short-term rentals with long-term wealth. We've been coaching and training for the last 5 years, but running short-term rentals for the last 7 years. We have over 70 units that we manage and help others really grow and scale their businesses and to be able to do it. So really this video, we wanted to dive into how to actually run a short-term rental from anywhere in the world and what are the essentials that you need. We're currently at one of our remote Airbnbs right now, so we thought it would be fitting to record this kind of video and help you guys out. Because that's another question, is like, can you do this remotely, and how do you do it safely and making sure you take care of your asset if you're not living in that city or living in that town?
So what's really important is that when you actually are running properties remotely, it actually forces you to think more like a business owner, because you literally have to get your systems, your team, and your processes set up so that you can actually make a go of it. Because, you know, if something happens, something comes up at the property, you know, someone has to run and take care of something, maintenance, cleaning, whatever it is, obviously you're not going to be the one to do it, okay? But what we want to talk about in today's video are the 5 essential items that you absolutely must have if you are going to be running properties remotely and also in your local town as well. So let's dive into it. Item number 1 is you need a smart lock, okay? So this is going to be a device that gives your guests a door code to enter or leave the property. Now, our preferred device is something called the Schlag N code. We'll have a link to it below in the description so you can check it out. There's a few different other ones on the market. You know, there's the August lock, there's the Yale lock. We've honestly tested them all. They all have their pros and cons. The reason why we're partial to Schlag is because we're Canadian and it gets real cold here in the winter. And I don't know why, but everything just seems to break in the winter. But the Schlag doesn't, so that's why we recommend it.
Yeah, that's really good. And actually has, if all else fails with that lock, there's still a physical key that you can use this. And we even have a backup to the backup to the backup. Like, that's how much we make sure that this property will run. This is about 4 or 5 hours from our hometown. So if we're not there, we can't drop everything and go and let someone in. So we make sure we always have backup protocols. We're checking batteries, everything. So the Wi-Fi smart e-lock is definitely what you want to automate at all entrances. So we actually have 2 entrances to this unit, and we have Schlag N codes on both of them.
So it's really important they are Wi-Fi enabled, because the way we have ours set up is it will automatically create a door code for the guest after that they have completed their damage deposit, signed a rental agreement, and also verified their ID. So if they've done those things, the system will generate a code for the guest, and it will only work at the time of when the guest is going to be checking in, and also it'll stop working on the day that they leave. So this is actually how you give yourself better security for your property, because it just creates a unique code that once the guest checks out, it'll just stop working and you won't have to worry about them getting access to the property again.
Yeah, and it gives a history of everyone that's accessing your property. So it says exactly who's coming in and out of the property, and it can auto lock too. So let's say they close the door, and after a few seconds, it can actually just auto lock it. So it gives really that peace of mind and security, you know, who's coming in and out of your property with their unique code. And if you just don't want someone accessing your property, you can delete it at any time. So it's really a great way to be able to remotely manage your property that way. All right, so let's go into number 2. Biggest one here is the Ecobee thermostat. So this is a Wi-Fi thermostat. It's a smart thermostat, and this is actually something really new we've been doing and starting to integrate it more. I know a lot of people have it. It is a pricier, I guess, addition to have to your property, but it's really worth it in so many ways. As Michael mentioned, we are Canadian, and because it's so cold and we have such fluctuations in temperature here, furnaces tend to honk out often in our business. And part of it as well is that we have really hot summers and really cold winters. So being able to protect the heat and the AC, like, you're not supposed to run AC in winter. You're like, of course not, Katrina. And I'm like, we have had guests do that. And so how do you protect that, and how do you quote unquote lock guests out or have parameters around what can be done? An Ecobee thermostat.
Yeah, we use Ecobee personally in our business. There's a lot of different brands and options out there.
Yeah, there's like Google Nest, a few others.
So pick your poison, so to speak. But what we really like about Ecobee is that you can set, kind of the floor and ceiling for the range of which guests can move a temperature either up or down. So, and you can also have lockout features that they just can't go below a certain threshold at certain times of the year as well. So again, gives you a little more protection and also helps you save a little bit of money on your energy bill too.
And you have visibility of it. If you're suddenly seeing temperatures drop, you can also get CO2 warnings on them. They're really, really good to have that visibility and safety for your property. Another thing on there as well is that the reason we love Ecobee is because you can add multiple accounts. Because we manage over 70 units and having many Ecobee properties, we want to make sure we have it in one place and we're able to do multiple units with that device.
Okay, so this brings us to third essential device, and that is having a lock on your supply closet. Okay, the one that we particularly like is called the SignTech. Again, we'll have a link to this down in the description below so you can check it out. But what we really like about it is that if you are running properties remotely, you need to have a locked off closet. In the industry, this is called the owner's closet, the supply closet, whatever word you want.
Closet, cleaner's closet. It's just really a space to be locked off that your guests cannot access. And this is where you would have backup supplies, backup sheets. You just don't want your guests like going through the entire supply while they're here. And this is really important because in our industry, we also get midterm rentals.
Yes.
So we typically stock our places by about a week and a half of supplies to 2 weeks. And if the guests use it in that time, they don't get a restock. It's their responsibility to do it. But if they have access to it, it's a free-for-all, right? And supplies, especially during now and inflation and everything, is so expensive to restock. So we want to make sure we're protecting that. We do communicate that, but you don't want to give it free-for-all for any guest staying.
Okay, so that's pretty cut and dry, right? Obviously you need to have a supply closet. So this brings us to device number 4, and that is having cameras on the exterior of your property.
Please, only exterior. I'll just say that again.
So typically how we do it is we have it on the points of entry in a property. So usually, on the front door or on, the back patio door or something to that effect. But it just gives you visibility on the amount of people going in and out of the property. Now, this is really important because, again, especially if you're managing remotely, if someone says, they're going to book for 6 people, then all of a sudden you see like 25 or 30 people showing up. Obviously, there's an issue going on there, right? So what's nice about it is you can get notifications of when it looks as though that there's more than a certain amount of people going into a property, and then that alerts you if you need to actually take any action to send someone to the property, or if you have to call the cops. Hopefully not. You've had to do that a few times too. Kind of sucks. But again, having the eyes and ears on a property is going to be super, super important for you, especially if you're managing remotely.
Yeah, you have that digital record for any evidence or anything needed. And if there's maybe pets or something happens for liability, it's super important, guys, just to be able to have this, again, to protect your property or your owner's property that you're managing for. So this leads us to number 5. And this is probably one of the biggest questions we get too, because how do you manage your Airbnbs from anywhere in the world and automate all of these systems and pulling them together? And that is with a channel manager. So this is actually with a software. And this is really an essential to be managing this from anywhere in the world because it manages your messages automatically. It ties in all these devices into your channel manager. So your e-lock can go in and make sure that those codes are given only when, what Michael had said earlier, the damage deposit, the agreement has been signed, all those pre-arrival requirements have been done, then that code. So it's so important to tie that all together. So we actually use a channel manager called Hospitable. It's an AI channel manager and we absolutely love it. It automates so much of the messaging and it's such a great tool, and we really love growing with that software as well.
So these are the 5 devices and 5 tools that you need to have if you're going to be running Airbnb property remotely, or if it's not in your city, your state, or perhaps in a different country. Again, if you don't have these not to say you can't do it. It's just your life is gonna be a lot harder than it needs to be. So.
Yeah, and just as Michael said earlier, we actually love running properties from a distance because it forces you to automate everything, have the right people in place, and make sure you have the right procedures, checklists, everything so it runs smoothly, and they tend to be the best. So don't be afraid to dive right in. You have the 5 essential tools. I hope you love this. Please make sure you like and subscribe, that button at the top, to make sure you get any notifications of new videos coming through. If you have any smart devices that you use in your home that maybe we haven't thought of, let us know in the comments.
Cool. Hope you found this video helpful, and if you are interested in learning more on how to build your own short-term rental business to the point where it can eventually replace your working 9-to-5 income, we also have a link in the description below of a free masterclass. We just redid it for 2025, so it's super relevant and super current. Check it out. Just shoot us your email and we'll fire it over to you right away, and you're going to learn a lot from that video, so definitely check it out.
Okay guys, I hope you really enjoyed that video of the 5 essentials to run your Airbnb from anywhere in the world and having those essentials. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you in the next video.
Take care, everyone.